Welcome to Legends of Grayskull, the podcast that dives deep into the mythology of Masters of the Universe, with your hosts Matthew Dooch and Sean Scavana. News, reviews, remasterings and more are just ahead on Legends of Grayskull.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Terra, Norador, Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK Annuals, comics, mini-comics, anything and everything you can think of with that He-Man, She-Ra, Master of the Universe, Princess of Power, that PowerCon logo down the corner. I'm Matthew Dooch, here again with Sean Scavana. Sean, how have you been?
Pretty good. Not too many complaints. I'm like, what did I do since the last thing? It's been a little while.
It's been a little while.
Longer than a little while, actually.
It has been a whirlwind few weeks. Since episode 72, I have not stopped moving. It has been, we recorded episode 72 the morning before I left for PowerCon, got that up, went to PowerCon the next day, had that great weekend, met a lot of awesome people. We'll get into that in a minute here. And I got back Monday after PowerCon, Monday night. Tuesday, I started my new job, had all that training. The hours are a little bit earlier, and I worked basically all the way through until we went to Tennessee this past week for my nephew's wedding. Big congrats, Joey and Megan. I wish them nothing but a lifetime of love and happiness. And it was great out there. It was my first time out there. Beautiful scenery, the mountains, everything. But yeah, it was a good time. But we just got back Saturday night. Sunday we had the kids' football and cheer, and my Bears lost again. It's not going to be a good season, and now here we are today, and I need a nap now, just after going back through it all.
I'm winded just listening to the whole thing. I mean, geez.
Yeah, we knew September was gonna be crazy, but when we had September planned, I hadn't planned on starting a new job either, so that kind of added a new level of interesting to it. But it's been a good time. I'm enjoying it. The kids have all really stepped up because it takes me. I have a little less flexibility than I used to have. That's probably the big detriment to leaving my old job. Is I don't write my own schedule anymore. I can't just take days off, here for whatever. So, but the kids have all stepped up. They've been great, and we're making it work. I'll be back there tomorrow. So, but it's a good time.
There you go.
How about you? What's new?
I've just mostly been working my butt off, and I actually, on a personal level, over the last week, I joined a fit group on Facebook. So I'm somebody that I never pictured myself being overweight in my life because I was always a skinny kid. And now here I am on the other side of 250 pounds going, what the heck? So shout out to, no kidding. Shout out to over at Podcasters of the Universe, and also my wife is going to kill me. Steve Bisciotti was the one to kick this idea around with Travis Bowles, the co-host on My Wife is Going to Kill Me, and they've been losing weight.
Yes.
So then they created a little group where people who are Patreon members, now we have a place to go to and kind of be accountable for what we're doing. And it's actually really motivated me over the last, they started it in the middle of last week. So it'll be a week pretty soon that I've been doing it. But yeah, it's at least something to accomplish, which is cool.
Right.
So,
and it helps. It helps to have that group. I know when I was upwards more than I wanted to be, and I'm still not at my goal, but what really helped me was actually beginning of 2020 at my work, we got into this little fitness pool. We each threw in like $5 a week, weekly weigh-ins. Whoever dropped the most weight, got the pot, and that really helped motivate me. I've been saying I need to get this. I noticed I was carrying more. I needed to get it up. But it's hard just on your own. Especially with how busy I know we both are. It's like, but that really helps to have some people to help kick you in the ass here and there.
Yeah, my main thing was always the accountability side of it. So, and I'm somebody that, because of how my life is, I fall really easily into bad habits.
Oh yeah.
So, and the last year, especially with the quarantine in particular, yeah. So yeah, hopefully I can get back on track and get to a better mindset and a better physicality too.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah, like I said, other than working, that's been pretty much, like it's nonstop basically. So I mean, the weekend of PowerCon, that's basically what all I was doing. I missed out, but I had to work through that whole weekend because of how my schedule worked out anyway. Yeah. So I was like, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Hardest working man right here, ladies and gentlemen.
I will. This is the episode where I will go yay or nay, and that's about it. Because I don't have much of a standing with everything that happened over that weekend. But and to be honest, I haven't caught up on the videos. I was mostly getting through you in our group chat, like, oh, here's this, here's that, and I was, oh, okay, I'm catching it that way. So I'll probably get some education on this episode myself.
All right. Well, yeah, PowerCon. It was a blast. I wish you could have been there. I wish Steve and Jeremy and Matt could have been. I wish a lot of people could have been there. I know it's still a weird year, lots of weird stuff happening, but it was a very, very enjoyable time. So I guess we'll just start there, and then we'll go into our actual reviews of the reveals in a minute. But first off, huge shout out to all of the people I met and talked to over the weekend. That was amazing in and of itself. I got to meet Eric Gaiman, who's been a longtime supporter. Casey Moulton, his girlfriend Andrea. Oh my God, and they are from Boston through and through, Sean.
Yeah, they get the car in the parking lot.
They were, but they were awesome. They came up to me right off the bat. Andrea caught me in the hotel, and I met. Everything was in the hotel. That's the nice thing, right? Everything's right there. They were the first ones to give me the PowerCon phrase that pays. Unfortunately, the box of the prizes was unfortunately delayed, and I still have not received it. But as soon as I do, I got stuff going to them, and I got stuff going to Skelly Vader, who was also awesome to meet up with. I got to meet David Clark. Motu Joe was a blast. We hung out with him and his buddy Jason Boonstra. I got to meet Val Staples, shake his hand. And then of course the legends that were there. I mean, I sent you the pictures. I was sitting at the hotel bar in the middle of Rob Lamb, Tom Tataranowick, and Larry Houston. I'm just like, just talk. I got no questions. Just talk.
Just put your cell phone down. Can I record this, please? And just plop it right down and listen to their stories. Yeah.
And that was it. And it was just, we've heard it a lot in the documentaries and everything else. All the people who have worked on Filmation and, how they say, Filmation was a family, but actually seeing these guys come together who haven't seen each other in years, that's what you feel like. Like I'm sitting in on their family reunion. Because it's not even, there's work talk. I got to learn a lot about behind the scenes and the stuff that would go on, the pranks they would pull on each other and stuff like that. But then there was, Tom's wife was there. She was a sweetheart. She was talking to everybody and, and it felt like a family coming back together. They're catching up on their kids and their grandkids and their lives. And it was really great. And there was a lot of great stories there. So that was amazing. Then that was even before the con started. I'm like, it's the night before Friday night, and I'm like, I'm good. Like I've had a great weekend already. Like nothing else could happen this weekend, and I would be good to go. But on the people, and I'm sorry if I forgot anybody. I know there is a ton of people. If I forgot your names or whatever, I apologize. And Andrea, I did want to commiserate with you. I think your Patriots lost as bad as my Bears did. So we're together, solidarity. But
isn't his girlfriend Mary, or is Andrea like someone else to Casey, or am I getting them confused?
Oh my God, am I getting them confused?
Because I know Mary and I know Casey, and then Mary won the Battle Cat from us. I want to say, so it could be Mary, and I felt bad because I kept hearing Andrew. I'm like, maybe he met a different person. Maybe that's his sisters. I don't know, because I
think I got the names mixed up. I met a lot of people this weekend.
I wanted to save you. Okay, I didn't want to keep it going though. Okay, so Mary, we're sorry.
I am sorry. There's a and it's the same thing, right? I'm sitting here and I'm going through, like, I can picture these guys I was talking to, but I can't recall their names. And
I'll bail you out here, because if somebody tells me their name, literally 10 seconds later, I will be like, who are you again? Because that's just how my mind works. I'm more focused into trying to have a conversation, and then that part just goes right out of my brain for some reason. So, but yeah, we've talked to Mary a couple times. I just want to make sure if it was her, I didn't want to have.
My apologies. My apologies.
She's like, who was he with again? Yeah. Legends of Grayskull.
But yeah, that was
relationships.
It's over. No, they're gonna stop listening to us. Screw those guys.
Probably.
But yeah, it was funny because that's what Sunday. Sunday at the hotel, she's trying to figure out how to watch her Patriots. I'm like, we're in California now. You ain't getting them over here unless it was prime time, and it wasn't that week. So, but yeah, so. I mean, I might as well go through some of my. I'm not going to show all my pickups here. I know I've shared some pictures. I got some wonderful art that I'm going to wait to share. I'm going to get them framed. I'm going to get off my lazy butt. That's my goal for the next month, is to get my artwork framed and my cells framed, because I've had them, just in a binder for too long. But some cool stuff I did pick up from Rob Lamb himself. He's got a copy of this Kingdom of Brightmoon Map that he created for season 2 of She-Ra, because they had a lot of new writers coming on, and he wanted to help them visualize kind of the relationship of everything in the Kingdom of Brightmoon. So yeah, so you got the Whispering Woods, the village of Thamor's in the middle there. You got Castle Brightmoon, Lake Brightmoon, the Crystal Falls, Twiggett's, Madame Raz's house, Fright Zone over here. It just and this is one of the things, right? Talking to a lot of these guys that were there, I was really glad to get this, because it again shows this wasn't necessarily just a job for them. Like, for Rob to sit down and go, okay, we got a lot of new writers coming on. A lot of animated series, especially back in the 80s, would just be like, all right, yeah, just do some stuff, And they'd move locations around, they move abilities around, And Rob, especially, talking to him, he is one of those guys who's like, no, we need to follow our rules. He was telling me stories about how he got upset with other guys because Glimmer's powers changed wildly throughout the series. What she could or couldn't do, it depended on the situation. And he said he used to get in arguments with guys because he's like, well, you can't do this to Glimmer because she could just teleport out, because that's something we gave her earlier in the season. They'd be like, oh, no, she can't do that here. And he's like, and he would basically get the answer that, well, they're just 8-year-olds. They're not going to pay attention. Well, as time showed, Rob was on the right side of that one, and we all did pay attention, and there are lots of people who did notice the inconsistencies, and there are people who get on YouTube and talk about them for hours at a time to this day.
No one that we know. Not at all.
No. But yeah, so I thought that when I saw that piece, I'm like, I gotta have that because that is really cool that he just took the time to just sit down and be like, no, we need to get some consistency here.
Sure.
And then the other thing I got is a copy of his storyboards for the Return of Granomir, which was the first storyboard that he got to do, the great Larry DiTillio episode. So that's really cool. I haven't had a chance to look all the way through it, but it's a great time. And again, he even said that he was very lucky to right off the bat, get a Larry DiTillio script. And he said from then on, he always tried to angle it so that he got to work with Larry or, a handful of other writers that, like, as with any job, there are certain guys you just always want to work with, right? And he said he was very fortunate to get to work with Larry more often than not because he always put a lot of heart into his scripts.
Nice.
And then a couple other notable things here. I got the Retro Rags PowerCon pins. One day I'll have all my pins displayed too, after I get all my art framed. I put these too far away. Wonderful weekend pass with some Eric Marshall artwork on it. Battle Armor Skeletor was the weekend pass. Information on the back. I wish I could have grabbed more. I know vendors had Leech. Val Staples as the director had King Randor. Oh, I can't remember the other one. Those are the ones I remember off the top of my head. But yeah, if anyone's got a badge that they don't care about anymore, other than Battle Armor Skeletor, let me know. We can work something out. PowerCon program featuring that great Gerard Perel artwork that we've been teased with all the time. And it's actually here. There's everybody. Yeah. There's all the different badges, and the artwork got reused. So Shadow Weaver was a guess. There was Demo Man, Cobra Con, and Web Store. Great little program. I mean, it's got the information. It's also got all the artwork reused and everything else. Just it's the little things for me. Got to meet the wonderful Tom Brisky. That's another guy. He's a great artist and everything. And I got a Golden Discs of Knowledge coaster set.
That's fun.
Isn't that awesome? And it came with the Zodak bottle opener.
Oh, geez.
Which is also magnetic.
Curtis Ackerman is going to sell his soul for that thing, I bet.
That'll be on that'll go on my fridge, and when I get my toy room set up someday, those will be down there for my beverages. Oh, and it's got great Filmation artwork on the box as well. So Tom Brisky, I'm going to drop a link to him. He's got an Instagram. Instagram.com/Tom Brisky, BRYSKI_art. So I'm sure if you guys, and I'll put this up in the link down below. I'm sure if you guys reach out to him, he's probably got more. And then the last thing I want to show off is the Mondo exclusive Skeletor Tiki mug. In the bone white for PowerCon. This was actually really cool of Mondo. They obviously had a panel at PowerCon, and afterwards they asked for questions. I went up and asked my question, and they handed me a Tiki mug afterwards. So that was really cool.
What was your question?
For them, it was, I wanted to know if they'd shown off, I'm going to forget his name, so I'm not even going to try because I don't want another Mary situation on my hands. But they showed off, Mondo always has those great promo pictures with the awesome backgrounds and everything. Like they just showed off the Hordak that they're coming out with, and he's got the big throne behind him. You know, the typical Fright Zone throne.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked them if there was any thought as to actually releasing those backdrop pieces or diorama pieces or something. You know, like I said on our last episode when I showed off the diorama I got from Heidi Bowles. That's a big thing for me. Like, figures on the shelf look cool, but give me something behind them that, like, really evokes that atmosphere, and it just takes it up a level to me. So that was my question. Have you guys given any thoughts to doing these pieces? Maybe a Grayskull throne, or the Fright Zone throne, or even just a backdrop, some rocky, just something to scale, and, and they said it's not something they had thought about, but it's a great idea. So that's not the best answer you can get at, on the spot at a con. But yeah, and this guy is just a work of art. He looks really cool. Heavy ceramic. The kids will not be touching this. But yeah, Skeletor on one side. And I think they reworked the face a little bit here, because I seem to recall the first ones they came out with looked a lot more Alcala, if I'm recalling correctly. Or maybe that was just a prototype, but he definitely looks more Filmation-y Skeletor.
Oh, yeah. Way more Filmation.
And then the backside's got the demon face, and then, of course, the snake wrapping around. But yeah, it is great detail, very heavy. I'm almost kind of scared to use it, to be honest with you. This might just be a on the shelf type thing. But
tons of sticky tack under it, so it doesn't have a shelf dive or whatever. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, those were the pickups I'm going to show off for now. So, but yeah, again, it was a great weekend. It was great meeting everybody. Well, what's not so great though, of course, is trying to get there. So I left Midway Airport, Chicago, Illinois. Okay? I'm putting you guys on blast, because you've gotten out of control. So, obviously, as almost always when you're traveling to the West, your departure leaves early. So I had an early flight. I had to be in Chicago by 6 a.m. So, of course, my dad drove me over there. Thanks, Dad. Dropping me off. My wife had to work. But, so I get to Midway. It's early. It's like 6 a.m. Cruise through security. That was fine. They've actually revamped the whole thing. It's a lot faster to get through. But I get back there. I find my gate. This is how I always am when I'm flying. I want to get in early. I want to get through security. Find my gate first. After that, I can start thinking about eating, drinking, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, get to the gate, find it. Okay, great. So, I got at least an hour and a half at this point. So, I'm like, all right, let's go get some breakfast. You can't bring in any drinks anymore. I probably could have brought some snacks. But whatever, let's go get some breakfast. Usually, there's a McDonald's or something, And of course, you're usually paying airport pricing. They've got you stuck there.
Yep.
So I go around. There's only a couple places open. They've really revamped it inside. Like, there used to be all fast food, like McDonald's, Burger King, and everything. Those were all gone. They got, like, these sit-down places. And I'm like, I'm not doing... And the Italian, and it's all closed up anyways. So the only thing that's really open is there's a Dunkin' Donuts, but they've only got coffee. It's like an express self-serve thing. And then a chicken place, which did have breakfast sandwiches. I'm like, all right. So I go get in line. I'm looking up at the menu. Just a standard sausage, egg, cheese muffin. You know how much they wanted for one sandwich?
$10.
$10 on the nose.
Ooh, I was right. Yeah.
Just the sandwich. If you want your hash brown, then it goes up to $15.
Oh.
I think it might have come with a coffee too. But basically, your combo's $15. Your sandwich is $10. I said, screw you, Midway. And I got on the plane hungry. $10
That's like DoorDash prices.
That is insane. I could not believe it. Like, I'm like, all right, it's normally $3-4. I would be willing to pay like 6, 7, maybe 8, but I'm not paying double digits for a sausage muffin. So then I get off the plane.
That's nuts.
I do my flight. I eat my peanuts and my brittle that they give me on the plane.
There you go. Stick it to them.
That's right. And then I land at John Wayne Airport, Orange County, California. Get off the plane. Right across the gate, right when I get off, straight in front of me is a Hardee's / green burrito. I'm like, all right, let's eat. I got no place to be yet. Nothing's going on, you know. So I'm like, okay, let's eat. So I go over there, and you know, I mean, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this point, and so I'm like, all right, let's see what we got. All right, like Hardee's is good. I've had, you know. I don't know if they have Hardee's out in Pennsylvania, but I've had them. Yep. They don't have them here in Indiana. We got Carl's Jr. But, you know, I'm like, oh, yeah, burger sounds okay. But then I'm looking at they got this green burrito, and I'm like, oh, that looks great. So I stroll up there. I'm like, yeah, give me one of those green burritos. And the lady just looks at me and she goes, sir, it's breakfast time. And I'm like,
the
time change. She goes, it's only 10 a.m. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, damn it. But then she's nice. She's like, you just came from back east, didn't you? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it's like 1 o'clock my time. She's like, well, we do serve burgers now. We just don't do the burritos during breakfast time. I'm like, all right. Western bacon burger combo, fries, and a drink. $10.47 total. I remember that total. In the airport. Wow. Yes.
In the airport.
So screw you, Midway. Orange County, John Wayne Airport, they are doing it up right. They know how it's done.
Apparently. Jeez. Mm-hmm. and they even catered to you. They gave you lunch.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about having to do the it's like I'm thinking of that Falling Down movie. I want breakfast. It's a little past breakfast. I want breakfast.
I was ready to eat breakfast, but I'm like, I'm not. Like, my mind's not. I missed that. Midway screwed that up for me. All right?
Yep.
We're moving on now. But yeah, so I got my Western bacon burger, sat there, ate it, got to the hotel, and I was cruising around the hotel trying to get kicked out, apparently, because I was just, I did some stuff on my phone for a little bit, but I got there early. You know, check-in's not supposed to be until 4, and I was there by noon. So I was just cruising around to ride in the elevator. I already knew what my room was going to be because you actually got to pick it when you could do check-in the day before on the app, and so I got to pick my room. So I'm like, I'll go find my room. And I was cruising around. I'm heading back down, and I got into after I found my room, I went down and just kept wandering, and I got to this set of elevators and pressed down. I was going to go back to the lobby. It's getting close to 2 now. They told me when I got there that, maybe around 2, like as the rooms are getting cleaned, they'll let you in even before check-in time. And so I pressed down, and as the elevator's coming, I see a sign that says service elevator only. And there's like 2 elevators doors there. And the one comes down and it opens for me. So I'm like, all right, like this it must be that other one, right? Because it opened for me. So I get in, hit lobby, go down, and the doors open, and they're just like, water tanks and machinery and like, I'm in like cement tunnels. I'm like, they were both service elevators, huh? So I'm like looking both ways. No one's coming. I'm just wandering around down in the service tunnels. I'm like, all right. And then I see a door that's, exit or something. I go at it, and I'm back in the main lobby. And I'm like, okay, no one saw me. So no harm, no foul, right?
And then you're on video, the camera footage. It's like, this guy's just walking around randomly in our hotel. What's going on here?
That's what I was waiting for.
My wife is a manager at a general manager at a hotel. They love if there's an issue, they go back and they review that footage. Right. I know that much.
No,
so, I got a straggler here. What's going on, pal? Oh, well.
Yep.
Can we have a pause or something here? I got to help him out. So he's home sick today.
How about this? Eric will be happy with us. Let's go ahead. Yep. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be right after these messages. Stay tuned. We're going to start reviewing some of the reveals.
Legends of Grayskull will be back right after these messages.
Coming this October, Grand Haven's first and only toy show, Toy Haven!
Tell us about the history. Why did we choose Grand Haven as the epicenter for all things toys, Pete?
Well, Matthew Rodriguez and I, Matthew runs Tulip City Comic and Toy Fair in Holland.
Okay.
I run Muskegon in Muskegon. We both born and raised on the lakeshore, absolutely love it. And we decided we wanted to collaborate and do a show together. And hey, let's meet in the middle. And Grand Haven is such a great downtown, just a beautiful place. We thought this is the perfect place to do it. So this is where we're launching our toy only show. We wanted to kind of do, just flea market style, just all toys wall to wall. And Grand Haven was just a great spot to do it.
Make sure to join us on October 9th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Grand Haven Community Center in Grand Haven, Michigan for Toy Haven 2, the sequel. $5 admission, kids 11 and under are free. For more information, please contact ideasformars@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at Toy Haven Toy Show.
And now, back to Legends of Grayskull.
Alright guys, welcome back! Hopefully you all will visit Toy Haven on Saturday, October 9th. Oh wait, hang on. Eric, that check from Ideas from Mars cleared, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Please visit Toy Haven Saturday, October 9th, up in Grand Haven, Michigan. It's going to be a blast. Alright, so we're back. I avoided getting kicked out of my hotel for messing around. The weekend was great. And there was lots of news to come out of there. So, let's, unless we got anything else, Sean, I think we'll jump over to the reveals.
Let's do it.
Alright, so first off, biggest thing, right off the bat, Mattel has been listening to us, and very first slide they showed at their panel was dispelling the rumors. Masters of the Universe is not going away in 2023. Anything you have heard to the contrary is completely false. So, I am glad that they came out strong and put that away. Which I think we've speculated long on this show that those videos that are out there are not based in truth. So, the other thing, and I will not apologize for the picture quality, but just know every picture we show here today is ones that I actually took in person. So yes, they might not all be the best pictures, but they're all mine. And then I did miss it. The second part of the dispelling the rumors, it flashed too quickly for me to catch it, is that the Origins line will not be canceled due to Masterverse or the animated series or anything else. Origins is planning on continuing. So let's start there. So the next wave of core figures will be Buzz-Off, Jitsu, the Sorceress, And it also includes the mini comic colored Stratos with the the white skin, and all that. So, what you think, Sean?
I've always liked the mini comic Stratos look. I never got in on that PowerCon 3-pack that they did for classics, but I do like that they're going there, since I think the PowerCon 3-pack was the first time they ever released anything of that way, for that character. And I think everybody and their grandmother was already figuring, because we got Sorceress with Grayskull, we'll get the traditional looking one. So there's the answer to everybody's questions there. And it's cool to get Jitsu, because, I mean, heck, if they already released Fisto, you figure he's got to be on the way somewhere. So that's pretty cool that he's on his way. So,
and the fist is shiny metal.
Vac metal. They're doing the Vac metal.
I think it's Vac metal. It's shiny. Either way, it's shiny. All right. Okay. So, just saying, certain other companies, there is ways to still do shiny characters if you had, especially if you had characters that needed to be shiny, like as part of their names, maybe. But I mean, Origins continues to surprise me, honestly. I mean, they at the end of the day, it's all parts reuse, and repaints obviously help pay for the line, but the ones that they're going to, mini comic Stratos, they've released the Lords of Power, sculpts, Beastman and Merman, so I'm sure Man-at-Arms and Skeletor will be coming down the pipeline. But they're really going deep. And they look good. I mean, it looks like Buzz-Off. It looks like Jitsu. It looks like the Sorceress. My one complaint, I guess, would be that I wish they'd redone the Sorceress's headdress, because that's the one thing about the vintage Sorceress that always really bothered me. Because the Sorceress from Filmation is so iconic with how that falcon headdress sits on her. And I remember I never saw the Sorceress toy until the days of the internet, and that was my biggest disappointment. The wings I get why they do the wings like that in a toy. But the big thing to me is always that headdress. It's like, why can't you just make that part of her head and sit, normally? But yeah, again, it's, my kids might want to pick up a few of these. I'm still not into Origins, but they look good. And then coming up down the road, we're going to have Anti-Eternia He-Man, Clawful, and then the mini comic Trapjaw colors.
Yeah, which, again, I didn't get in on that 3-pack, so it is really cool to release that. I agree. Like, for me, at least, being an outsider on Origins, there is this, like, how low can you go into the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Because I mean, they already, when we did the voting, they had Anti-Eternia Man-at-Arms back then. Now we're getting Anti-Eternia He-Man in the line. And like you said, the mini comic versions of these characters, which we never had as kids. And, it's like, there is that part of me going, if the child version of me was given Trapjaw the way he looked as a toy and this Trapjaw, I might have went for this one first, because it was like, well, that's the mini comic. So why, like, you just accepted it as a kid. Like, oh, I guess it's a story about him, I guess. He looks similar, but the colors are off or whatever. But it is cool they're going here.
Right. And that's it, right? Because when it first got announced, it was like, oh, they're just redoing all the vintage toys with added articulation. And now they're at least they're pulling a little deeper. They're getting to some characters that I didn't think they would get to. I thought they would just go straight through, here's your core figures and we're done. So they do seem to be trying to breathe a little life into it, or a little longevity into it, I want to say, because it's selling very well.
Well, it almost feels to me like they're looking at the run for classics.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And going, here's how they did that, and that's how they had longevity in that line, especially with the collector market. So maybe we could try this. And I feel like they are taking a little bit of cribbing some notes from that in a sense.
No, for sure. And speaking of that, up next we have Origins Stridor, which again is he comes not only with his classic Stridor mask that we all had back in the 80s, but he also comes with that horned mask, which was originally made for Night Stalker in the Classics line, and then when they released Stridor, they repainted it for him orange. So he comes with both the mask, he comes with the guns, blast effects. That's the one thing I really got to give props to Origins for. Classics did not do enough blast effects, and Stridor comes with 3 of them. You can put one on every gun that he has. So the 2 front-mounted cannons and then that rear cannon each have a blast effect. He's got the added articulation in the legs. He looks like Stridor.
Yeah, he does. I won't lie. I do kind of wish that the blast effects were there for Classics. Marvel Legends got me keyed up for that back when I discovered that line and started going into it a little bit. So yeah,
absolutely. And they're also going to continue to release these little bits of scenery too. We saw it with the Wind Raider, we saw it with the Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat 2-pack, and now Stridor's got one with a little bit of horse fencing on it. And they said that this one is actually designed to snap into that ridge at the bottom of Castle Grayskull. And actually you can start building out that playset a bit more and more. The PowerCon exclusive Dungeon Great clips in there. This will clip in there. You got the Wind Raider in there. So these little environment pieces, they said they're not really designed to go in a specific spot necessarily, but more just kind of you can build out your world with them, which I really like that idea. All the little extras.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that would probably get me to collect Classics. And it's funny because that was one of the first things I noticed when the leaked photos of Castle Grayskull were. It's like, why has it got that ridge on the bottom? And this was a bit of forward thinking on Mattel's part, which again, kudos. Like they were actually sitting back there. What was that, a year and a half ago now? And thinking, like, what could we do with this down the road?
Yeah.
Next up, we've got more deluxe figures. We're getting Terra Claus Skeletor and Flying Fist He-Man. And yes, I blinked on He-Man's variant name for a minute there. And these are Vac Metal. So Jitsu's glove probably is too. I just couldn't recall for sure. So again, Vac Metal is still an option out there, toy companies.
I was never the biggest Flying Fists or Terror Claws guy. I'm just going to say that in general. They're two that, like, I don't mind the look of He-Man. His chest armor was always kind of cool, but I don't know. It's like out of all the variants, these are the bottom ones that I always look at out of the original line. Yeah, but, I like the claws, but you didn't have because I like the claws on Skeletor, but I don't like his tummy shirt. That drove me up the wall. Even as a kid, I'm like, why did they do that with?
Even though Skeletor's regular harness shows his tummy?
It just looks like he rolled up a t-shirt and that's it. And he put a little skull to keep it in place, like that's where the bow would be. And then and then it's like the only thing that would make it weirder to me is he's wearing roller skates or something because it was the 80s, Like it never fired on all cylinders for me. The Flying Fist, at least it felt like a He-Man variant. This one was like, well, the claws are cool, but everything else is like, what? This is drunken night. Wake up and he's got lipstick on his face. Skeletor. This is this is what they put him in while he was asleep. It just felt weird all the time. But I'm guessing these are going to be singly released, like the Battle Armor ones. They're not going to do like a 2-pack of this. Okay.
Right. Yep. They'll be that $19.99 price point, single carded. Again, I never had these as a kid. I've got no holding to them, but they look like they should. It looks like they are sticking with the vintage inspired heads, so they have course corrected and they're sticking to it.
Well, that's good.
So that was the Origins. Up next, we got to look at some of the He-Man in the Masters of the Universe, streaming now on Netflix. The new CGI cartoon toys. Obviously, the He-Man, Skeletor, Trapjaw, and Man-at-Arms we'd already seen, along with the Skeletor on the Panther cycle and He-Man on the Road Ripper motorcycle. But then we also get our first look at a Ram Mam figure and Orko and Evil Lyn. And then they've got a Man-at-Arms variant with a Sky Sled inspired motorcycle. So yeah, they're really putting some figures into this. They're pumping them out, and they look good. A friend of the show, Matthew Rodriguez, his wife, the Toy Huntress, tracked down a He-Man regular figure, and I mean for a $9.99 toy, these things look awesome. They had some in the display case at PowerCon. I really don't think you can go wrong with these for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not getting into it on this episode, but I'll tell you the one thing my son says every time he gets home from school is, I want to watch He-Man right now.
Nice.
This show went over so well with my kids that I started showing them some of the figures, and my daughter is hardcore. She wants Teela, and he's all about He-Man and Ram Mam. He thinks they're the best. So I think these are going to be in my future because, yeah, they enjoy this thing like I would have hoped, but it went even better than that.
Right. No, and that's real quick here. I have not finished the series yet, and that's not for lack of wanting to. I'm intrigued by what I've seen so far. I think I'm like 4 episodes in. It's lack of time right now, but it does seem to have gone over very well. I'm hearing lots of good things from everybody who's seen it. Lots of kids really responding warmly to it, and the sooner they get these toys on shelves, the better. Because I have a feeling there's a lot of kids even that aren't our kids, Masters fans kids that are probably checking this out. Because it's everything I've seen so far. It's well written. It's got some good nods to the classic stuff, and some good writing and storytelling. But we'll get into it probably in the next episode, episode 74. We'll really get deep into it. But it's cool to see the little nods like Panther, on the motorcycle, the Road Ripper, the Sky Sled colors. Orko is great. He looks awesome. I love the twist they did on him with being a robot and everything else. Ram Mam's a fun character. Crass, I mean, she's just and I don't view her as like taking the place of or taking away from Ram Man. She's a good character. So very well done, and we'll get more into that. But the figures look fun. They each have your master's action, Excuse me. Very well done. Can't wait to see what else they got coming out for that. All right. Origins is coming to Mattel Creations. Now that means a couple things. So according to the panel at PowerCon, not only are we going to have obviously the Triclops, the fan vote winner that we're showing here, but apparently the regular Origins figures are also going to be available online at MattelCreations.com in an effort to try and help the distribution. So we'll have to wait and see. There was no more details other than that. But the big thing they did tout is that obviously Triclops has come and gone now. He was available the Monday after PowerCon. Great artwork emulating that old mini comic. Came with the Warrior's ring, and he's painted in the mini comic colors. So Wonderful display. Did you end up getting one?
No, I've seen there's been people who've been posting their photos in the groups, and I saw there are a lot of people that are happy, and then there are some that weren't the happiest because there is more paint slop on that figure than other ones apparently. But like the sash and
I
stuff
can see
like
that.
that,
There's a lot of color in there. So
there's a lot of color and there's a lot of details. And I saw one where I was like, "Wow, I'm amazed." QC, and I'm not trying to do the whole, well, that's great because it's a line I don't care about, but it is like if this is a exclusive thing, you would think that there would be a little more QC with that, but I honestly, again, if I was a kid, I probably would have gone in for that one and the trap jaw and the flesh tone Stratos versus the ones that we got when we were kids, because those were the ones in the comics at that point. And so it is fun that they at least did that finally for the fans who wanted them. Again, I would have loved to have them as classics instead, personally, but it is cool that they're out there for everybody who wants them, especially with the new line. So
exactly. So if you missed out, good luck to you on that one, because I'm sure the price has skyrocketed already. But it's cool to see that, and they're going to be doing more of them. So spring of 2022, we're going to have Wondar, the Savage He-Man, and Koldar from the classic Filmation episode. Will be coming to Mattel Creations. And then in fall of 2022, there will be 2 more Mattel Creations exclusive characters. And these are going to be the deep dives. It's really interesting that they're doing Koldar, because there was a lot of speculation that the Filmation license was done now. Like especially with how they haven't been using the Filmation She-Ra in a lot of stuff. They've been going back to the toy version of She-Ra. So obviously there's still some partnership going on between Mattel and NBC Universal. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes next. Sean, I know you're a big Wondar fan.
I don't know him. Maybe I have the Scare Glow that you got me, and that's pretty much it. But in the case of that, I might actually pull the trigger on him, but maybe leave him in package or something. And I don't typically do that, but it's like, that one would just be fun to have, I think.
Well, and especially if they continue this kind of packaging, like that full color artwork, the mailer box, Yep. Yeah, these might actually be pretty cool just to leave on the shelf. I mean, that Triclops art is gorgeous. I mean, that's the pull for me. I'm not even too concerned about the figure. I'm not a big fan of those colors, but that art is amazing. Axel Minez again. So, yeah, but it just again, we'd speculated a long time ago that it's Mattel wasn't. In the beginning, Mattel didn't seem to know what it wanted from Origins. It really started off kind of like this is supposed to be a way to get kids into the line. And I think it's mutated into something more than that, where they're seeing no, we really need to keep the adults and really give the adult collector their stuff here. And so it's nice that they're kind of keeping the retail offerings, and they're pushing, the niche characters through the website. That's a good 2-pronged approach, which is, something Classics did lack. Classics would have definitely benefited from a retail presence, which they teased us for years, but we never got. So I really think Mattel's getting to a good place here. And then, of course, the big news out of the weekend for a lot of people was that Sunman and the Rulers of the Sun are joining the Masters of the Universe. For those of you who don't know, Sunman was an 80s toy line from Olmec Toys, featuring African American and other ethnic superheroes. It was created, I forget her name off the top of my head, but basically mom created because her son was saying that there are no superheroes that look like him. And so she created this whole line. Kind of a step above the bootlegs, even though it is obviously, or the knockoffs, it is obviously the body build is Masters inspired, like mini toys of the time. But I put it a step above your kind of Forza T and stuff like that. Because it is their own parts. It is their own storyline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so they released an exclusive Sunman in very similar fashion to the She-Ra from last year. It's got the removable card back that folds out into a comic panel, kind of going over kind of the premises, where Sunman's from, introduces his main villain, Pighead, and it just kind of sets up the universe. But they did say that this is not just going to be an exclusive. They will be going deep into this line, which had, a handful of secondary characters. They had the villain. Like, this is not a one-off. They are making Sunman figures. So that was interesting.
Yeah. I never heard of Sunman when I was a kid. Maybe I did. I don't know. Because I got a little bit into some of the Remco figures. They had like Warlord and Arak and all those guys. And I got some of those when I was growing up. And I had the Black Star figures too. And because they came out around what was that, Galoob, I want to say. So they came out around the same time because of Masters and the big push there. And I swore I saw Sunman one way or the other. I know he's been in my periphery with all this stuff. But there is something really cool about that origin story of the line of just the mom wanting to do right by her kid to give the kid a hero. That's a really cool thing. And then on top of that, this again, we talked about it on, I want to say, an episode or two back, where I was like, well, maybe this opens the door to, hey, there's going to be Forza T figures maybe eventually, and they're going to, shove those into the line too. And that would be honestly, that would be a draw for me because it's just so wacky that why not? It just be like, I didn't get them in classes, but they'd be fun to have one way or the other. And I'm not hunting down the originals, just, having a version of them would be kind of fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of support for that kind of stuff. Like, so yeah, if people want it, make it, Mattel. Come on. Yeah, like I said, I don't recall this. I've heard of this line over the years of collecting, but I don't recall it from childhood or anything. But it's great that they're bringing it out there. They're getting some diversity out there. I mean, that's all wonderful. So, and there was a lot of positive reaction. A lot of people are looking forward to this full line. So. All right. Mega Constructs. Everybody who was worried that, that's it, the line's over. No, it absolutely is not. Again, they're just rebrand. They're getting away from the Heroes line, and they are just going straight on Masters of the Universe. So right off the bat here, we got a new, those Skeletor skulls. This one is the Slime Pit, so it comes with your translucent Slime Pit, He-Man. I'm already sold on translucency. And you'll be able to build the dinosaur skull and the claw. And it's got a nice green interior along with dripping slime coming down from the skull. I've got all these already. They're great little sets. $10. You get a figure in a little play set. I mean, there's no reason not to. And did I mention that it's translucent? Because that's awesome.
Yeah. I almost recall hearing that, but yeah, it is really cool to see this actually.
Absolutely. And they're getting deep. They're getting ready to go. So then we got the Land Shark along with Battle Armor Skeletor and Roboto in his classic toy colors, because the single card one had the mini comics. And they did say that when you roll the Land Shark, the mouth will do the snap, snap, snap. So they are probably one of the most true to features as they can out of any of the lines right now. These Mega Construct guys really put it in.
Definitely.
And the next big place or set that we have coming is Monstroid. That comes with a Hordak, a She-Ra, and the comic blue tunicked Prince Adam. Yeah. No, they're
This is the first She-Ra figure.
It's the first She-Ra, the first Hordak. Yep.
First
and this
Hordak,
will be the second Adam with that blue tunic.
I like that they're including him. I do. I like that they did it. They did it with classics. They did it with Origins, and now this. And I like that is now the repetition of that is showing. Yeah, there is that version. And I know for me, especially, I love that version when I was a kid. And when we saw him in Filmation, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
It's like that should be a Prince Adam. What's going on here? You know, and stuff. So it's great that they're using him again.
Exactly. And they're, now they're introducing the Horde, Monstroid.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pull. Like who would? That's probably the only Monstroid we'll see again. I mean, he's not a huge character, but he's fun, and yeah.
Can you imagine the Mega Constructs Fright Zone?
Oh, wow.
That's going to be a headache and a half for anybody trying to build it with how crazy that thing looks.
And they would go,
especially if they do the Filmation one,
They would go full go too. I mean, that's the thing. These guys are really,
mm-hmm.
and let's be honest here. The scale helps, right? Because they are smaller. Yeah. So I mean, a Monstroid will only be, the size of a small vehicle for like Origins, whereas a Monstroid for Origins would be a big, hefty piece. So they're using the minifigure scale. It really helps them be able to do a lot of this stuff. And then they will be having a life-size Mega Constructs Havoc staff that you can build and hold. It is designed for you to hold it, wield it. They do not suggest doing battle with it. But
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. So I imagine a Power Sword is going to be right around the corner as well. And then they teased the Mega Construct Snake Mountain, which, as you can see here, is obviously when they're figuring out designing it, they're just using random pieces. So it's not the right colors, but you can see that it's very classics inspired, like they did with their Grayskull. Shrunken down, great activity. There's going to be lots of little set pieces in there. And that we probably got a good year or so left before that would see shelves at the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going for it. I mean, so I got to imagine Crystal Castle, Snake Mountain are right around, Crystal Castle and Fright Zone, at least the toy one, is probably right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's our Origins Mega Constructs. Lots of good stuff. I'm telling you, I love that that Mega Constructs line. It's one of my favorite ones. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at Mondo next. I know this is a line. I don't think you have any of these, do you?
I don't have any Mondo. Not so far.
Not so far. Interesting. So right off the bat, they finally revealed their Trap Jaw. He looks great. I think they're really nailing their looks now. I know in the beginning there, and we'll come back to it in a minute, but in the beginning there with He-Man and Skeletor, He-Man especially, in my opinion, they kind of went a little too far. But now I feel like they're really kind of nailing the aesthetic of these guys and where to pull from, what to exaggerate, what, you know what I mean? Like they're really feeling the characters now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it goes back to when we got the reveals for 2000X. It's like, Trapjaw was always one that I saw a certain way as a kid. And then when you see what you can do with them, if you put more creativity and a little bit more oomph into the sculpt, and this one definitely shows, you could still have some fun with this design.
Yeah.
It looks updated, modern, yet at the same time it has like aesthetics where it's just like, no, that still feels like home.
Right.
And that was what I was missing from the line initially that didn't have me jumping onto it. Man-at-Arms was the first where I was like, oh my God, that's cool.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't want Man-at-Arms before I get He-Man. That just, it's that whole, the hierarchy thing, and it was driving me crazy. Like, they got an amazing Man-at-Arms, but that He-Man just was not working for me. And then here would have been another case of point, like, Trap Jaw, but He-Man isn't working for me.
Yeah, it's just the little things, they did that. They gave the helmet a bit of a flair to it. They replaced the fur loincloth with a plate mail loincloth. Stuff like that where it's like, the colors are very spot on. So he's got all many attachments. He looks great. I'm going to find out how many of these I can afford, apparently. And then we have... Oh, and they teased the Horde Trooper concept art. Oh my lord. I can't even
army
imagine.
Building.
Right, because you can't just have one Horde Trooper.
Well, that's the thing. Like, in the case of a line like this, I mean, no matter what, I know there are people out there that love them, but it's like, these are they eat your shelves up. They're
absolutely.
Space eaters,
Yeah, these are all 1/6 scale.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could only see doing, if I had Hordek, I'd be like, I got 2 Horde Troopers on either side, I'm good to go. Like, I wouldn't be trying to do further than maybe 4 at the most, because, man, that's like half your shelves devoted to just that then.
Yeah. But I remember as a kid, I only had 1 Horde Trooper, and it always bugged me.
Same here.
I can't just have one. But my mom always said, you have that figure already. But it's the Horde Trooper. But yeah, I would need at least 2. And they said that they are. That was one of the questions I was asked after me at the panel, and they said, "Don't worry, they are taking army building into account when they make the quantity for the Horde Trooper." So,
okay.
Next up, they finally showed off a more completed She-Ra. Comes with many accessories. She comes with 3 headdresses, Filmation, vintage toy, and then their kind of upgrade on it. Her outfit is very inspired. She comes with swappable skirt piece that resembles more the original toy. Cowl comes with her. She comes with 2 swords. One that looks like the He-Man Mondo sword, and then one that is very much the Filmation sword. The shield, the Comax, and a sheath. She looks fabulous. It's a great take on her. And me, I'm always if nothing else, I have to get my heavy hitters, my main characters. So this is one I will probably end up picking up as well. I do have.
Yeah, Go ahead.
Just gonna say, I do have Skeletor right now. That is the one Mondo figure that I have.
She was one that I was saying, she might be a possibility for me, even though I'm not a huge She-Ra fan, but just looking at the sculpt, looking at the details and everything else. And so far, like, it hasn't had me going, ooh, but it has me going, I like this direction. Really, aesthetically, this is really working for me on a lot of levels. So honestly, what's been the price point on these usually? Do you know?
Usually around 250.
See, that's one of those things that it's like with the hardest part for me right now is catching up with all the Mythic Legion stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I just got over that hump, and now I'm like, oh God. But these thankfully aren't the same as Mythic Legions, where it's like, oh, and then there's another one right around the corner that I need, versus they're spaced out in their releasing and everything, at least.
Right.
But yeah, I'd love to see all of it, painted up and all the way that they present it. Usually I want to see those images, but it's definitely a strong direction.
Let me recant that a little bit, because I was thinking of the PowerCon exclusive Hordak, but he seems to be a little higher. So it looks like Man at Arms was 189. I've got Faker for 159. So yeah, and
Gotcha.
then the Hordak, the PowerCon exclusive, was 250. But the regular Hordak I'm showing around 200, 219, something like that. So
Gotcha.
if she's a regular release, she might be more closer to 200, which at that price, $50 does make a bit of a difference. But and then the part where I said, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble."
That's what I said too when I saw this one.
They are coming out with a deluxe He-Man 1/6 scale figure from Mondo, shown here in a very, very traditional armor, loincloth, boots, concept art by Emiliano Santalucia. Looks phenomenal. Little tweaks here and there, kind of upgrading and everything, longer loincloth, but it's very much He-Man. You look at it, it's like, this is He-Man. This is the figure I wanted from Mondo originally, and now I am in trouble.
Yeah, me too, because that one, when they unveiled it and I saw these images,
yeah,
Emiliano was the one on Facebook that posted it and said, I did some work on this one. And my first question was, okay, so are they doing the leather loincloth again, or are we getting the furry loincloth? Because it does, like you said, it goes down further, more like 2000X.
Yep.
And his response to me was, I illustrated it as a furry loincloth. Yep. It was not leather. And that minute was the one where I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. Because I was not a fan. I didn't mind the colors of the original one. It's just the aesthetics of the original one which drove me nuts. And on top of that, I don't know if you have another photo, but I know there's some more to this one that made me go, oh, crap. Yeah, you do.
You also, so not only do you have the classic armor, but you get the Thunder Punch armor, full backpack. And if you notice, they even have the swap out bracers. The regular He-Man had his longer one and his regular one. And then the Thunder Punch has the two
the short
ones with the white dots. And then you have the battle armor.
Yeah.
Again, it'll be swappable plates, especially with this. I mean, this is one figure, all these armors. So, yeah, so you'll get the classic, the battle armor, and the Thunder Punch, and the Thunder Punch lightning fist accessory. So, yeah.
that one, even if I don't have any other ones, that one actually, depending on the price point, because now the main thing here, we were just talking prices on the other ones, and those were pretty much, here's the figure. They weren't giving you all these other options for display like this, so it does make me wonder what will be. But yeah, like you said, I'm in trouble because this is way more the way I've been wanting it to be ever since they started this line.
That is a have to get.
So here's the question. Oh, okay.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's a He-Man without a Battle Cat?
And that's the thing. If I go in on the He-Man one, I have a feeling that I might have to do a Battle Cat with it.
Yes.
I don't know about getting everything else, but those two, because this looks awesome. This looks like classics for me was the pinnacle. Even I know everybody likes the Revelation. I still like classics because it feels way the way I wanted it to be. This is the daddy of classics now. The way that it looks.
Yeah, so we got
crazy.
1/6 scale Battle Cat, fully articulated, fully removable armor. So you can do the armor on. He even comes with some nice leg armor, wrist armor, however you want to look at it. But you can take that off if you don't want it, and then it would be pure classic Battle Cat. And then it's got swappable heads. It's got its classic helmet. It's got a Mondo designed helmet, which is kind of 2000X to me, but it covers the sides of his face too. For those of you who are only listening to audio, Then it's got the unmasked head, and then it also has a Cringer head, and, well, I know the Cringer Cub figure will be the Mondo exclusive. I think the Cringer face as well. I think it's the Cringer face and the Cringer Cub, the Filmation animated series looking face. I believe those are both going to be the Mondo shop exclusives, but I know at least the Cub for sure, as I remember. So many options. Yeah, I'm in trouble too. I'm getting that He-Man. And the thing is, they said they're shooting. Again, they are shooting, so don't hold me to this, but they're only shooting for a $300 price point on this. For a 1/6 scale, fully articulated Battle Cat.
Honestly, with all that, and then I want to also, I'm curious weight on it.
Oh, it's gotta be.
It's gonna be, that thing is gonna be able to probably kill a child if it falls on it. I'm guessing, because it's. I mean, I saw the images of it. They had the. They had something in the Mondo case, I want to say. Didn't they have like the... I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll get there.
But just looking at how big that thing was. Yeah. Like I honestly think that this is where they got me on these. And hopefully they don't release them at the same time. Hopefully Battle Cat is like earlier in the year. Hopefully He-Man's at the end, or vice versa, because if they do it where it's both at the same time, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. But
unless they offer a nice bundle deal, that might entice me.
That would be nice, but But yeah, this for me is, this is where I wanted it to be in the, and it's like, what's funny to me is Mondo was the line where I didn't give hardly any thought to it, because they didn't win me over at first. And honestly, every release since then, Skeletor was good, but I felt like he wasn't like, wow, the way that I felt like this version of Skeletor would look. Same with even Scareglow and stuff. And here we are looking at these going like, no, they hit the money pot on this.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Yeah. So, I mean, the only thing is what that face sculpt's going to be for He-Man. Yeah. Because I know it's a different expression in the illustration, but if we see the original head sculpt on him and everything else is upgraded,
I think that's a whole new head. I hope it is.
I'm hoping.
So what's a He-Man without a Battle Cat? What's a Battle Cat without a Panther?
Yeah, jeez.
Again, all this concept art is by Emiliano Santalucia. So you've got Panther, you've got the green armor, he's got the leg armor as well, and then it's going to come again with a variety of heads, an unmasked head, and there's two unmasked heads. There's more of a Filmation looking Panther, and then more of just kind of like a cat Panther. And then it comes with the helmeted head with that Classics helmet, the green one with the horns coming out of it. And then they created a new one where Panther is wearing the skull of a saber-toothed tiger, which is an interesting design choice. I never would have thought about it, but I kind of like it, especially looking at that. To me, I'm like, okay, so that's like 2000X Panther's helmet, where he's like, look, Battle Cat, I'm wearing, because Battle Cat was a lot more saber-toothed in that series. Yeah. So it's kind of like him like giving the middle paw to Battle Cat. Look, I'm wearing a skull of one of your green tigers, Yeah. So that's, now this one I think I can be good with skipping. Panther has never... Well, he's always been cool. I've never viewed Skeletor and Panther as yin and yang as He-Man and Battle Cat.
Yeah, the only time for me that that Panther became like I really want one was once I got a Classics one. Yeah. And the first Classics one I got was actually, I wasn't told this when I got it. It was in a trade, but it was broken. Oh. So when I went to adjust the arms, his whole leg just came, or yeah, the arms I'm talking about. When I adjusted the one leg, the leg just came right off because it was super glued in. So then I was on the quest for Panther for about 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And that was like my must-have classics for a while. But I agree completely. Like Skeletor, I don't see as it's not peanut butter and jelly the way He-Man and Battle Cat are. You know,
it's not the sidekick. It's
yeah, exactly.
To Skeletor, he is a mount. He is a ferocious animal that he uses. He is not, whereas He-Man and Battle Cat have always been Batman and Robin to me. You know,
exactly.
So, but he looks cool. If I had the money, yeah, I probably would get him. But again, it's like with a line that's priced this high, I've gotta pick and choose. So.
Oh yeah, agreed.
All right. So after Panther. Oh, and that cut off a little bit there. But they did show off the classic Scareglow that's coming out and the Revelation-inspired Toon Skeletor. Again, both very nice. Now this, again, I'm in trouble. This is the Scareglow that I was hoping to get. That first one they released, it was nice, but it still seemed a bit, it was predominantly black with the white bones instead of white with the black bones, if that makes sense. And it had that updated scythe and everything. It looks cool, but it didn't grab me as much. But now looking at this Scareglow, especially seeing it in the case, I'm like, all right, he looks cool. And he's glow in the dark. And there's all that white glow in the darkness on him. He's gonna look awesome in the case.
Yeah, and again, I do like him quite a lot now. Now that with classics, with Revelation, and everything, but he's one where I could still like. For me, Mondo is definitely turning into just give me the deluxe He-Man, give me the deluxe Battle Cat, and I can call it a day. And then maybe I'll look back eventually and go, maybe this, maybe that eventually.
Yeah.
But
it depends on
but
release,
it is cool.
Too. Hopefully they're released well enough apart.
I need to it's that meme of Tiger King. I'm never going to financially recover from this. It's like, especially I didn't even get to go to PowerCon, so I'm not having to recoup from that, but I'm recouping from Mythic Legions. And I'm also like, oh God, there's pre-orders for that coming up. Now all this stuff for next year. And it's like, I'm trying to get out of debt, not trying to get further into debt. But you guys aren't helping.
No. And the Revelation Skeletor, he looks awesome. That's not a rabbit hole I'm going to dive down. I've got Masterverse Skeletor, which I think is amazing. But they did him up right. Again, they didn't just slap a bunch of reused parts on there. They made him his own parts. They made him screen accurate. He comes with a variety of different facial expressions, hands, everything else. They did a great job. Again, just high price line. I've got to, draw a line somewhere.
If they would have shown a He-Man to him, that might have been a little bit of a oh God for me too, because I do like the design of the Revelation He-Man. But I gotta admit, coming. Yeah. Oh, if they did this one, how could he not? But it is weird. I feel like this is a line that I felt like it was trying to do its own thing and do. This is the Mondo take on this stuff. Yeah. And now here's the Revelation Skeletor, and it's almost like, are they going to turn this into something where you walk into FYE and you can find these eventually?
No, that would be trouble.
Well, but like that now is like a more mainstream looking version of Skeletor versus it being a collector looking version. So, there is that part of me going like, maybe they're trying to branch out and do something along those lines where it can be more at not mass retail, but specialty retail, like Hot Topic or FYE or whatever. That's a curiosity. And that's the one I was talking about. So you got it. Okay.
There you go.
That thing is going to be so freaking big.
Yeah,
Battle Cat is going to take up like half of a shelf. by itself.
Oh, at least. I mean, look at that. Look at that. He-Man is up on him. His feet are nowhere near the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, and even look at the size of Cowl too, because I think he looked a little smaller in the slide, but he comes up to She-Ra's knees. I mean, and Battle Cat's head, the top of Battle Cat's helmet is even with She-Ra's face. I mean, he stands tall, he's bulky, he's articulated. Ugh.
We're so screwed.
We are so screwed. That's the last of that. But yeah, and even like I said, like, you know, you're saying maybe FYA, maybe Hot Topic, these things are so much harder to say no to in person. Let me tell you what.
So the closest to that I've gotten is the toy guy that I go to every now and then. He got a faker in from Mondo. And when I went in the last time, it was already gone. So I didn't even get to see it that way. But, you know, I appreciate what they're doing. And this is one of those lines that I always was like, I kind of wanted to get into it, but I just wasn't as impressed by it for the price point. And now they're hitting their stride. And it's like, oh, shoot, now you're doing this.
Right.
And I wasn't ready for this.
Now I'm in trouble. Well, I'll tell you.
Now I'm in trouble.
That Mondo booth, you know, they were selling the pre-order for the exclusive Hordak, which I didn't get a picture of in here, but it's the same as the Hordak they released, but he's blue skinned.
Blue,
he comes with the Imp accessory. But that line coming out of there all day Saturday, most of the day Sunday was like wrapped, because they were kind of on the end of the side aisle, so they're like wrapped all the way around and up like 2 aisles. And it is a long line. I'm like, I told myself too, I'm like, because I couldn't really get up too close. These pictures were taken last day, so I was up there. I was finally able to get up to the case without obstruction, took some pictures of the case, got to really look at everybody together. And there was no line at this point. It was late in the day Sunday. And so I'm thinking they must have sold out of the Hordak finally, because he was very limited. I think it was only like 800 or 1,000 pieces. I think it was 800. 800 pieces in. And so I'm saying they're looking, and I'm like, and there's a couple workers there just, you know, until they finally get a chance to breathe after all weekend. Because that was probably the busiest booth, because they were one of the, you know, the Horsemen were also very busy. They were selling off the Mythic Legion's Motu tributes. But, you know, those are pretty much kind of the only two that really had like big exclusives. And, and they had one of the blue Hordaks there in package, done, you know, on the table there. And I'm like, and I just said to them, oh, you guys must have sold out, huh? And they go, nope, we still got some left.
And then they look at you.
And it is very hard to say no when you're looking at him. And so I caved, and I have a blue PowerCon exclusive Mondo Hordak on the way. So,
oh, you were the right person at the right time for that booth. They're just like, you know, you want this, don't you?
And that's what it was. I told myself, I'm like, well, I'll wait and see. You know, I'm not going to stand in line for it, but sure enough, they still had some, and whatever was left over went up for sale last week, and I did not pay attention to that. It had to have sold out by now. But so I'll have Skeletor and Hordak. I'll have to get She-Ra and He-Man and Battle Cat, and like I said, that Scareglow is really tempting, and I don't know from there. But this looks like by the end of next year, I will have quite a bit to show from this line. All right, last up, we have the Masterverse figures. And they're going to keep coming. So, right off the bat, we got 3 new deluxe figures coming this next year. We've got a confidential one to be revealed soon. We've got Trapjaw, and we've got Triclops, who both are going to include their Techno-Cult robe outfits, along with the parts to make their classic outfits as well.
Nice.
that is a nice way to do it, especially with those guys where you can do some swapping. So yeah, that's it. They look great. I can't remember which pictures I got. Yeah, I do have that. So yeah, Triclops will come in that like I showed off with Faker in our last episode, that wider box. He'll come in his classic outfit, which I think is the right choice for those min-on-card collectors. But he looks great. I mean, he's got the two heads, he's got alternate hands, the robes, the green armor, the sword. I can't wait. He looks awesome. It's probably going to be one of the best Triclops figures to date.
Looks like the versatility.
Yeah,
I get a kick out of the fact they're letting you do both, and they're not having it be, oh, we're going to release one that's normally Triclops, and then so that's, yeah, I do appreciate that.
And then the other deluxe figure, we're getting a King Grayskull. He will be a Target exclusive. He comes with two heads, extra hands, cloth cape with wire in it so that you can pose it, flayed out, blowing in the wind. Real fur on the cape, and he comes with the two halves of the power sword in their animated looking form, the dark and the light half, before they're combined.
Yeah,
he looks cool. I can't wait to get him.
Yeah, definitely looks cool.
And then we have the new Eternia figures. New Eternia is original character designs inspired by classic Masters of the Universe concepts. It launches in action figure form first, with more stories possibly down the road. So these are the figures that have been kind of leaked online as Viking, He-Man, and Barbarian Skeletor, where we all thought they were just doing Vicor and Demo Man, basically, was the big speculation. But it's actually kind of them taking and doing their own twist on them. Skeletor looks very, very classic, really, except he's got a different kind of, a more armored chest harness with a cape, and then he's got a helmet on. And then He-Man almost has more of a Vicron chest harness, a leather loincloth, shoulder pauldrons, and a very Vicor-inspired helmet. And then they both come with their more vintage-looking heads and a variety of weapons, extra hands, and everything. And so this is going to be their first, they said Masterverse is going to be, it can encompass all brands, all lines. Even though up until now, it's only been Revelations. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about these two yet.
I'm of like a couple different minds. I love that they're going in a different direction, because my biggest complaint ever since being able to voice my opinion on a podcast has been, we just keep going to the same well all the time, and it's annoying for me after a while. And it's like, let's change it up a little bit. Let's do something different. I mean, other brands are allowed to do that. We're just stuck with Filmation for the most part. So this is interesting to me on like this almost, I feel like they have to tell a story now. And they have to make the story something that isn't what we already know, which is similar to the new cartoon. Right. And that would actually have my attention a lot more. The designs aren't wowing me, but they're also enough to make me go, well, that's fun. That's at least you're playing with the ideas behind these figures and these characters, and you're turning them into something where they look similar, but you're like, but that isn't the traditional. What's going on here? But at the same time, I'm still not 100% on the even the Revelation the Masterverse line. Even I'm in a weird place in my fandom, so that's a big part of my problem, because Origins hasn't fit the bill for me. Masterverse still hasn't 100% done much for me either. And I'm looking at Mondo and going, now you might be the love of my life. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me on this? But these are fun, and if I saw them, I'd at least want to pick them up, and maybe I'd get the two of them and just have them as like, it's fun to have a different variation maybe. But again, this brings more story idea into it, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm excited for that part. I was meaning the designs. Same thing. I'm not 100% sold on the designs, but all the Masterverse figures I've seen so far look even better in person. So
yeah,
and I'm liking the line a lot. I'm going to be collecting it all, I'm sure. And again, it's in retail. You can see it. It's harder to pass on it when you can see it. But yeah,
actually, the one that I'll have a hard time saying no to if I saw him was actually King Grayskull.
Yeah,
because seeing those colors pop and everything, I mean, that's one where I'd be like, yes, you need to come home with me. And the other ones, it's like, let's just see what they do. Like you said, when I see them in person, it'll be different versus how we see them online.
No, exactly. Yeah, I kind of see where they're pulling from for these concepts. For me, it will come down to the story. And we'll just have to wait and see what that story is. But it sure sounds like they have a plan, at least, which is very interesting. And the stuff they're doing with the cloth goods on this in this line, Skelly God's got that awesome cloth cape that flows real well and displays really well. King Grayskull has the wired cape. Triclops' robes are actually robes. I'm sure Trapjaw's will be too. Looks like, I'm sure this is a fabric cape on this Skeletor here. They're really pushing some neat design stuff with these figures. All right. And next up, we have more Master of the Universe on the way in 2022, and we're teased with all the different packaging for Masterverse. Again, remember, they said this is going to be many lines. So you've got the standard blue fading into black Masterverse packaging. But the first one has the Revelation logo. The second one has the new Eternia logo. Then we have a Princess of Power logo, which also has She-Ra listed as a character. And then we have the new CGI He-Man in the Masters of the Universe logo. So, it looks like, again, they started out Revelation heavy, but beyond, the few waves that are announced, it looks like they're going to be dipping in quick into some other stuff, which is exciting. I'd love to see a She-Ra in this line. Obviously the new Eternia stuff. I can't wait to see what they do with those characters. And then, Sean, I think you might have some ideas on that last one.
Well, and that's we talked about it privately, but for me, with the CGI He-Man series, I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times through with my kids already because my son absolutely loves that show.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to get a Triclops. I did it again. Trapjaw, Beastman, especially. Those two for me as the villains are amazing. Their designs, and my son apparently is deciding to be He-Man right now. The designs of those characters on the show, and even Cronus on the show.
Yeah.
All of those are ones where I'm like, I really want them on my shelves because. Are they traditional? No, but the designs keep so much of the spirit, but also they twist it in a way where you're like, this is now a whole new version of this to make me go, I like this. Because they showed it even on the trailer. Trapjaw opens his mouth and he's got rotating teeth now, like chainsaws almost. And in the case of Beastman looks and feels the way I've always wanted Beastman to feel and look like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they might have me on this one. And especially if they do with Tila, my daughter is never going to let me leave that at the toy store. That has to come home with us.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all the potential this line has. And the smart thing that they did here is to label it all under the Masterverse brand. That way they don't have to sit there with the retailers and go like, can we get a Princess of Power line in here now? Can we get a new Eternia line in here now? To the retailers, it's, oh no, it's just the next wave of Masterverse. You know,
exactly.
Same reason.
And it makes.
Yeah, same reason Marvel does the Legends and DC Universe did the classics. Like, that way we can just do the figures and not have to worry about constantly selling, oh, here's a Spider-Man line. Let's do a Captain America line. No, we've got our space. We can do whatever we want, and we can just keep product coming without that delay as we discontinue one line, start a new line, you know.
Agreed. Yeah. I guess the other thing that opens up to me then is it seems to me the new Eternia ones are going to keep the same basic articulation and bucks. They're just adding new details to it. When they get into the new CGI show, they're going to have to throw the tooling out the window and come up with new tooling to make that look the way it is. So then that also makes me go, so if they went and did a 2000X line, or if they even did vintage inspired and do something that is this scale compared to what Origins is doing, that's what makes me excited, because then we're not just getting the same buck every time, which I know it's a cost saving measure for Mattel, and I get it, but there is an element of, but those had an aesthetic that it worked in those lines that you need to keep an aspect of that to it versus here's the Masterverse buck every time you see these new waves. Now, maybe they will go that route. It could be the Masterverse version of here's Masterverse CGI He-Man. If you don't like the kid's toy, well, here's him looking the way he would if he was not as cartoony looking. But I'm kind of hoping they keep the cartooniness alive. In that, as I kill myself. So that's just my...
Yeah. It'll be
that's me throwing it out there.
It'll be interesting to see what they do, because I know even obviously that was 4 Horsemen on the Classics line, but they were able to reuse some parts on figures that you wouldn't think they'd be able to. So there are ways of kind of blending. But hopefully that's a way to cost it out, right? Like, okay, we can get to the CGI He-Man aesthetic by using, this piece, and this piece, but then doing new arms or new whatever, but by utilizing that same buck as much as they can, or even using, thighs or ankles or something off of it, then that'll help keep it down. But yeah, I hope they go. I mean, the Revelation stuff so far has been Revelation. So the new Eternia stuff, obviously it shares the same basic buck, but they really went for it with the armor and the accessories. So I'm hoping as they come out, they will try and match the aesthetics. But yeah, it's a great line with great potential. And so the next wave of Revelation that's coming out, the regular wave, will be Fisto, Scareglow, Andra, and Stinkor. And they all look great. They had them in the case at PowerCon. I saw them up close and in person. They look like everything you'd expect them to. Scareglow's got some color differences from his exclusive one, and of course the packaging. Andra's got a nice blaster effect I'm a sucker for. Even Fisto, again, I could be wrong. I don't have my He-Man in front of me, but it looks like he's got a longer loincloth than He-Man had. So they are getting a variety of parts in here. Stinkor's got some new tooling. Scareglow's got that different wrapped loincloth. Andra's probably basically a new figure. It probably shares some of the forearms and stuff with Tila, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'll be having all of these.
I don't know about Andra, but I will be trying to get Fisto, Scareglow, and Stinkor. Stinkor is another one. As a kid, I wasn't that big of a deal with him, and now I don't know what it was. I think 2000X kind of changed my mind, because their design of him really had me going like, wait a minute, I start reassessing him, and he has that he's borderline 2000X looking already with this. And instead of it being just a staction, where we have the articulation finally. Yeah, no,
they all look great. Can't wait. And then they also teased upcoming. We have the classic looking Tila and the post-apocalyptic merman. I like this Tila.
I do too, and I won't lie. If I got her, I'd probably have the hair down on that because that's an option, and with that second head. And never have I looked at Tila in that way before, but it would be nice to have her on my shelf that way.
Yeah, no, it's great. Her sword, her shield look awesome. She got the hair down head. Yeah, it looks like a great figure. I'll get the other Tila too, but this is obviously my preferred Tila, and they knocked it out of the park here with her. And then Merman. Here you can really see the differences in the armor between the two. I know when we were going through the review, it was like, oh, he lost his chest armor. But they really went 2000X on his loincloth and his gauntlets and his leg bracers. I mean, they did touch him up. He comes with a couple of weapons. He'll look cool on the shelf. Yep, and that's it. So, to wrap us up here, so we know we've got King Grayskull, Trapjaw, and Triclops coming as deluxe figures. Who do you think will be that confidential deluxe figure?
Well, let's say, I mean, the last time, I almost think maybe they're trying to not do what they did the first time around, where Skelegod is just thrown out there and everybody just knows that spoiler. So maybe I'm kind of going, maybe it's a hero, because the only deluxe figure we have as a hero is Grayskull right now coming out. So maybe there's like a new version of He-Man that has to come out of the deal, or I don't know. The other options, like, I mean, it could be Sorceress, because maybe they're doing something where the wings are bigger or something. I don't know. I'm thinking about, like, from the first 5 episodes, other than how they look and how Grayskull looked, I can't think of a single other one where it makes sense to go, oh, well, they need to be a deluxe version.
Yeah.
The deluxe ones make sense to me at this point. So it could be, here's something that you have to wait for the next 5 episodes to go, oh, then you're getting this guy now, or whatever.
That would make sense. That didn't even cross my mind, actually, for them to keep it confidential because it's a spoiler. If that
I
is
think
the
they
case,
got enough heat.
if that was the case, then it probably is a version of He-Man, super powered He-Man, God armor He-Man, something like that. My thought, just going through the characters that we already know, my guess was Sorceress, because she's kind of the one, especially if you do her robed look and then her Sorceress outfit as one, like they did with Trapjaw and Triclops. That's the one I could see, like, okay, I could see the need for a deluxe figure there.
Blast effects, hopefully, to show she's spinning a spell or whatever.
That'd
be kind of cool.
They could do some fun stuff with her.
I don't know. Like, that one's hard, because it's like, okay, who else? I almost feel like they're doing that just because they spoiled the last time, and this is the last 5, unless they do a second series. I almost feel like they're like, no, we got to keep that one under wraps, because otherwise they're really going to get pissed. So that's my guess, is there's like like you said, a God version of He-Man that shows up and beats the living bejesus out of Skeletor or whatever.
Maybe it's Castle Grayskull, man. Maybe he comes and saves
for the love of God. I know there's only maybe like 1 or 2 people that would be cheering that on, and the rest of us would be like, what are you doing?
And that was one of the interesting things from PowerCon, is that there wasn't any Revelation announcement. I was really expecting them to announce a date, maybe, or God forbid, a trailer, or just something. That was really interesting. That they didn't really talk about the second half. My only guess would be that it's due to the CGI series premiering pretty much like right after PowerCon. It was that Thursday afterwards. That'd be my only guess. Other than that, I was really kind of expecting a surprise announcement, but that did not happen.
Yeah, you didn't get to be in on that, like because Kevin Smith and Griffin Newman and Tiffany Smith were supposed to be there.
Just Tiffany Smith and Griffin Newman.
Oh,
They
I
were
thought okay.
No,
Well, that goes
Kevin
to
was
show you.
never. There were people guessing that he would show up, like speculating, and I thought he would too. He ended up not, and I think if they had ended up having any reveals, they probably would have done something, but no, the Tiffany and Griffin, they had a nice panel where they just kind of talked about. I wasn't on that one. They talked about how they, kind of their careers and their upbringing and their connection to Masters. They're both Masters fans long before they got cast on Revelation. Griffin was saying that he actually got on in the 2000X days. And he's actually still got. He was living in New York at the time, and I don't know if you remember, but the Toys R Us Times Square did a huge, not grand opening, but premiere of the Masters of the Universe toy line, and they had the Four Horsemen there, and they were doing signings, and you got special all the toys that were sold that day had special first day stickers on them. And Griffin was saying one of the prized pieces of his collection is he got He-Man at Times Square that day, and the Four Horsemen signed him. So, and then Tiffany, she said she grew up on the Filmation show, and she loved it for years. She's big into Star Wars and He-Man and all that. They both come from geeky background. Even Griffin said after being introduced to He-Man through the 2000X series, that he went back and watched Filmation and caught up on it there, and it was one of his lifetime goals to be able to play Orko from a young age. So, and
not many people would want to be Orko. That's impressive.
And big shout out to him. He did say that Orko voice in the show is 100% him.
Yep.
There is no After Effects on there. There is no modulation, nothing. He said that they tried it and that it sounded worse with the effects than it did than him doing it himself. So big shout out to both of them. It was a really good panel. I'm not sure if it's online or not. I know some of the panels are, some of them aren't, but if you got a chance, check it out. It's a lot. There's nothing spoilery. There's nothing earth-shattering, I guess you could say. But I enjoyed the hell out of it because it was just two guys talking about, their love for Masters and their chance to work on the property, which I know is a pipe dream for a lot of us. So it's cool that they actually got to do it.
Yeah, no kidding. And he was one of my favorite parts of the series.
Oh, for sure.
So that. For a guy that always says I'm not the biggest Orko guy, I mean, that guy Griffin Newman just made me love that character in that show. So absolutely. Kudos to him for that. My heart grew 3 sizes bigger that day and all that. So yeah.
Last thing I did want to mention, I'd forgotten about it. We won't go too in depth, but if board games are your thing right now, the Kickstarter for the Masters of the Universe board game Clash for Eternia is live on Kickstarter right now. There's actually only 4 days left to go. Friday, October 1st at 9 p.m. Central is when it ends. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check it out. I am a big board game guy, and this one looks awesome. There's miniatures, there's game mats, there's environment pieces. I mean, there's everything you could want. They had a $200,000 goal to fund, and as of today, they're at base 1.3 million. So it has blown past everything. 5,896 backers. I can't even imagine where it's going to end up because the last couple of days there's always that big secondary push. I mean, even I haven't gotten my pledge in, and I'm going all in. It all looks great. you get, let's see, or what was it? It was for $110, you get the base game and all the stretch goal miniatures. And then for $220, you get the base game plus the first expansion, which was the Assault on Castle Grayskull, along with the plastic Castle Grayskull accessory pack. And then there's a bunch of add-ons that you can do. New stuff going every day. The miniatures, I mean, there's Whiplash, Zodak, Ninjor, Scareglow, Lady Slither. This isn't all of them. Mossman, Extendar, Rock-on Stonedar, Snout Spout. I mean, there's a great variety of stuff. Battle Axe, He-Man, Fisto, Cringer, Queen Marlena, King Randor. And then they've also shown there's also a She-Ra and the Great Rebellion expansion that comes with She-Ra on Swiftwind, Flood Arena, a bunch of others. There's Wrath of Snake Mountain add-on that comes with Tyrannosaurus Rex, King Hiss, Snake Warriors. And then, all the terrain packs. There's dice. There's the plastic Castle Grayskull. There's all sorts of stuff. If you're into board games, this and Masters of the Universe, this is definitely a can't miss right here. And you can also, if you're not sure if you want to get on, there is always the pledge $1, and then once the backer kit opens up, you can add stuff on later. But if you're interested in it all, you probably want to get in on it, at least to start with. And if enough of our guys get in on it, maybe we can start doing something via Legends of Grayskull, some live gaming. We'll have to see how the game works out and how it's played and everything, but it's something that we've talked about before, especially more so with that the RPG that was supposed to be coming out that I haven't heard anything about in over a year now.
Since PowerCon.
Yeah, PowerCon 2020. So hopefully that hasn't been shelved, but yeah, that could be fun too. If enough people get into it, maybe we can look into doing something like that with some of our fans. We're always looking for new and fun ways to interact. So,
speaking of which, I guess we're at that point of the show.
We're at that point.
So I did put up the post. We only got one or two people that chimed in this time around, but Skeletor. He wrote in.
Vader. Great to meet you, buddy. It was a good time.
So he says, so I know that there are conflicting viewpoints regarding Origins. However, I really like these figures, and after PowerCon, I have identified reasons why I do, and I'm willing to discuss. What are the particular reasons why you are not as drawn to the line as much as you are to other Motu lines? P.S. It was great to meet Matt at PowerCon. And then just to side on to this, because it all ties together, J Mac then also did a response and said, is the Cyclone Origins that is teased in Axel's new artwork enough to persuade the mighty douche?
Again, guys, it's not really a I have Origins. There are Origins in my household. I've got a handful of them. I think they're great. They're just not for me. And I think we nailed it earlier. It's like I appreciate that they're going deep. I appreciate that they're following the classic look. But I want something new. I want something different. I want something to wow me. Even the Masterverse are wowing me right now because it is something different. It's not just even classics He-Man with double jointed knees. There are some tweaks. There are some aesthetics to it. And again, price, right? I can't collect everything. So to me, I'd rather collect the Masterverse and then dip in on some high-end Mondos and stuff like that. I mean, they're great figures. I think even the Mattel team on Origins is really finding their footing now as to what fans want, how things should look, how they should be presented. You know what I mean? They struggled early on. Distribution's been bad. But I really feel like they're finding their footing now, too. So again, great line. It just, I don't collect vintage. And I know a lot of people think that's sacrilege. But I had my vintage. I loved them as a kid. I have no desire to recollect them. Because it's kind of a been there, done that. If I were to ever purge my classics collection, I don't think I would go out and get those back again. You know, it just kind of who I am, where I am. I love it. It gives me nostalgia. Even seeing that package at the Walmart with the Origins figure, you know, it gives me great nostalgia, but it's just not something I feel the need to collect. That being said, if Cyclone looks amazing, if they find a way to actually make him spin, I might pick him up. I picked up Rayman because of his action feature. I picked up Buzzsaw Hordak because that looked like a cool action feature to play with. I never even had him as a kid. Scareglow, Glow in the Dark. I picked him up. So, I'll pick up the ones that are like, ooh, this could be fun. But I just, because of what it is, it's just not a line that I want to collect and display.
Mm-hmm. My personal thing lately is, honestly, I think it goes back to when 2000X hit.
Yeah.
2000X came out and they were giving you sculpts that were above and beyond what we could have had as kids.
Exactly.
And then, we get classics in 2008, 2009 and everything. And it's like, those to me still, vintage is still vintage. There's no way around it. Vintage is just, that's your foundation and that's your childhood. Yep. But then when you get into 2000X, it's like, here's your childhood upgraded. Here's a different way of looking at your childhood. And then you get into classics and it's like, here is your childhood on steroids. And this is what you thought you were playing with as a kid, but now it's the adult version. Here it is. There's no special features like the swivel punch and all that stuff, but here's these amazing looking figures you can display and show how much that meant to you as a kid. And then my biggest thing then was these were really working for me, and I was collecting 2000X trying to stick to that, and then classics finally detoured me. And then the next thing I know, when they came out with Origins, I'm like, you did vintage, now you did 2000X, and then you're just going back to the original playbook, but then you're saying, okay, now we're articulating them, and I just didn't like any of the aesthetics of how they look. And even like with the sculpts didn't really, they knock it out of the park with classics, and then you do a sculpt that looks the way Origins do it just was not appealing. And when I look at the vintage, I'm like, the vintage still work. Those are beautiful, depending what figure you're looking at. And Origins just didn't do that for me on any level. And it still doesn't. It just doesn't. And I've become one of these people where, I'm on podcasts for Masters, but I'm not collecting as much because the stuff I want is stuff that makes me excited and proud to display it. Right. And Origins to me is like, this is what my 5-year-old wants to play with, and that's great.
Right.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it boils down to, I want something that I look at it and I keep seeing new details coming out of it. I keep seeing new ways of posability, and Origins for me is not that line at all. It very much is, here's what you had again, and I know there are people that make fun of Masters fans because of that, where we'll just take whatever we're given and, it's the same thing again, and you need to buy it again. And that felt like Origins to me, no matter what. And I just was like, whatever, Masterverse, at least it's doing its own different thing, and that's kind of why I can still have my toe in the water there and go, King Grayskull, ooh, and it's Scareglow, ooh,
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's
the clock part. I can take pictures.
That's great, pal. I'm still recording. But okay, bye. I love you, pal. I love you. Go take some pictures.
And that's exactly what we're saying. It's like, and I don't think we've ever been like, oh, no one should buy it. I get why people like them. It's not something I want to display. But I've been picking them up, and Make Cyclone spin, and I will definitely pick him up because that's probably the one thing, right? Because taking me back to my childhood when I rubbed my thumb raw just for spinning and spinning and spinning, you know. But yeah, wow me, and that just doesn't. And does he say, because he says he knows why he's attracted?
He actually did not say why. I think it's
maybe he wants us to answer first.
Yeah, and I have a feeling, like I've definitely heard the pros of the line from people that enjoy it, and I'm one of those people where I'm like, that's great that you love it. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Right, and I'd like to hear from Skelly. Reach out to us, let us know what it is that works for you, because I love hearing other opinions, and that's everybody who's loving it. I'm glad it's not going away. I feel like it hits a need, in the Masters community right now. So I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad it's staying. Again, I will just be kind of picking them up here and there. I won't be all in.
So there you go. All right. I guess, would you consider that a wrap, or do you have anything?
Well, did you have anybody else, or was that?
That was it.
Okay.
Like I said, 3 weeks, and that's all that we talk shop with. So
I have a couple, actually. And my apologies are due to Mr. Tony Moore, also known as Simba's Guard. I got a new phone at the end of August, and when I was setting everything up, I re-signed into my Gmail account, but I never signed back into the Legends of Grayskull Gmail account. So he has actually sent us 2 now, and I have only picked up. So this first one, I'll go back to the earlier one, and this was August 29th. He sent this to us. My apologies, Tony. I was not ignoring you. I just forgot to sign back into the email. And I happened to go on my email on my computer, and it defaulted to the Legends of Grayskull. I'm like, oh, I have emails here. So, okay, so Tony Moore, Simba's Guard, He-Man.org. Dear Matt and Sean, I have been listening to your podcast for quite some time now. As I write this, you are the only active podcast I am close to current on. Thank you very much, Tony, and now you've made me feel even worse for not seeing us for so long. He's probably quit by now.
At this point.
I just wanted to let you know how much I have enjoyed your review of Masters of the Universe Revelation. It is nice to hear positive opinions of the show, considering how many YouTube videos just slam it, as well as seeing things that I personally don't think are there. Anyhow, your theories and insights have helped me look at things with an interesting new perspective that I had not considered. I.e., Orko's new backstory perhaps being a result of Scareglow trying to crush his will/spirit. The former champions of Eternia's lesser forms being anything other than their physical prime, rather than a secret identity. Or the fact that Mossman didn't just grow back due to the magic being drained from Eternia. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about that either.
Yeah.
I also have some thoughts, comments, theories I would like to share. As for Eternia being used as heaven, without trying to step on anyone's spiritual beliefs, I know that at least one faction of Christianity believes that their eternal reward will be in the Garden of Eden. This is the only thing I can think of that the series might be trying to play off of by using Eternia as heaven. If that is the case, calling Eternia as heaven the Forest of Forever would have made for a much better parallel. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we agree completely. That's what we said. Why are you using the Eternia name? Forest of Forever. It would have been awesome if they actually used that other than in the title. As far as Orko's death goes, the fact that he was not in Eternia is very obvious proof to me that he is very much alive somewhere. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As for Robato's death, I think Andra might have taken Robato's memory chip out of his head after he died. I think Robato's memory and therefore personality should be intact when he is rebuilt. Good point. Andra did go to him when he was laying there.
Yeah.
As for how Skeletor could use the Power Sword and He-Man's incantation to harness the power of Grayskull, If Skeletor did use some of the magic of Grayskull that the Sorceress put in Evil Lynn's wand to heal himself, as you suggested, having some of Grayskull's magic within him could be what enabled Skeletor to stab Adam mid-transformation and then use the Power Sword and He-Man's incantation. All right. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Just give me a reason. That's all I needed. Just a reason. As long if they say, oh yeah, he used that magic, great. Just give me a reason. Make it so that not everybody can grab that sword and call upon the power. I like that. During the hunt scene, I assumed the big cat being chased was a Dialynx like Panther. Then I realized we have not seen Panther in this series, not counting the intro. I do hope he's in this. We need a big Battle Cat versus Panther fight. I agree. And we know He-Man's going to get powered up in the back half at least twice, we've heard. So I definitely think we need a Battle Cat versus Panther. One other thing from the hunt scene, it was neat seeing Bionatops in animated form, but I missed seeing Battle Lion. Am I the only one who feels that way? No, you're definitely not. If we didn't bring it up here on the show, I know we brought it up personally in one of our group chats. It would have been nice to see him. It would have been nice to know that the sidekicks get the eternal reward too, because we only really saw, random beasts and stuff like that, and then the heroes. So, nope, I would have liked to see Battle Lion, and maybe we will see him again. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Tony, Simba's Guard, more. So yeah, some great theories there. I think we're on the same page in a lot of it, and thank you for writing in, sir.
Yeah. Hopefully you still love us.
Sorry, I did the same thing I do with the regular questions. I did not read these before I pulled them up just now. The second one that we got last week on the 18th of September looks like it's all about the CGI He-Man. So, Tony, I am going to save that because I have not finished it yet. And we will read that one next episode when we review the CGI series. But don't worry, guys. I am logged back in now. I will be seeing your emails in a more timely manner.
Well, there you go. Yeah, thanks for writing in. That's awesome. I think he broke he broke into the first person to actually do the Gmail. That's really cool.
For the feedbacks we've had, contests where they've used it.
Yeah.
Yep. To actually just reach out to us. Yep. And that's why we have it. So, but yeah, thank you, Tony. And those are some great theories. I like some of the stuff you did there. And it feels like we're on the same page. And I can't wait for the back half. And I'm hoping it sheds some light on at least a few of the inconsistencies. I'm not one of those guys that needs like everything answered or revealed or whatever. But there are some glaring holes right now that I'm hoping they'll take care of before the end of this series.
Yeah, for me it's I just want anybody who was talking crap about it to not be able to talk crap anymore, because it was a good first 5 episodes. It would be nice to have the last 5 just make everybody go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have talked so much smack originally.
I hope it finishes strong. I hope we see a full story arc that gets us, okay, this could not have happened without everything going bad in the first part. So, but we'll see.
Yeah,
all right, Sean, if there's nothing else, it's all you, buddy.
All right. Well, on today's episode, we found out that we found out that why we don't like Origins as much as we like other things, and we're probably going into a lot of debt because Mondo's giving us some really awesome stuff, and now we're screwed.
Mondo.
Oh, Lordy. So, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell so that you'll know the next time that we post a new video, or go live, which we'll probably do that sometime sooner than later as well.
True.
Join the Facebook group Legends of Grayskull Podcast. We love interacting with the fans on there. Always happy to geek out with you guys. Logpod85@gmail.com. Obviously, that's being used now. So, hey, feel free to also chime in on there. We're always happy to hear from you guys. And we are still on Twitter. I haven't updated it as much lately, but Twitter, Logpod85 or Legends of Grayskull Podcast on there, whichever way it works. And until next time.
Until next time, guys. Mondo, Mondo, Mondo.
Mondo, Mondo.
Cheers.
Oh,
come on. Oh, bear. Oh.